I think we're excited about the opportunity to go on the road, play a really good team in an NBA venue. Uh, guys have learned a lot from the times where we've been away from home. Did a really nice job, for the vast majority of the game against Michigan. We just didn't finish it. So this will be a really good test for us because Arkansas's got a really good team.
Are you hoping they've gotten the aha kind of moments when they walk into an NBA arena out of their system now after going to Brooklyn and experiencing 2 games there?
Yeah, I hope so. But I think, what I've learned over the course of time is it's more of a process of, maybe different guys figuring it out at different times. I mean, it's kind of like the movie Hoosiers. I mean, the basket's still 10 feet and, the rules are the same. You just happen to be in an NBA venue. But for us, the focus has to be on the things that we know are going to go into success for us. And when we've had stretches of very good play on both ends of the floor, we want to duplicate that for longer stretches, and that will go into winning.
Coach, you guys are pretty much exactly a month into the season. What are things that you like so far from this team, and what could you definitely grow on?
Well, we need to be more consistent, I'd say, is the biggest word. Just over the course of a 40-minute game, I think consistency is something that the best teams show, and that's one of the things that goes into winning, is being able to, whether it's on the offensive and defensive end, sustain stretches of doing the things that go into success. I think in terms of stuff I like, I think we've had some guys that have had some very good moments, some guys that have grown, have made a lot of progress, particularly our younger guys, our freshmen and sophomores. But there's a lot of growth still to be made. Tevin Max played really well. He's obviously been our best offensive player, and I think he's done a great job, hit the ground running. He's also been very good on defense.
Is this team improving at the rate that you want them to?
I think if you ask any coach, the answer is typically you want them to improve faster and more. So, you want to continue you want to grow as much as you possibly can. But I think it's one of those things that, unfortunately, it's not always a linear path of, up and up and up and up and up. I wish it was. But you have to, sometimes learn from experiences. And, our guys are all done with school now, so it gives us the opportunity to spend a little bit more time in the gym, a little bit more time watching tape. And, if you're a guy that loves basketball, this is just a terrific time of year.
Yeah, only 2 guys from the Houston area, but Jacob Young being a freshman. How special is a trip like this for him and Roach?
Yeah, kind of count Shaq as well, just because he played at the Village, in Houston. So we say 3, and then we got a couple more on the way. So obviously it's a very, very important area for us, and we're excited for those 3 guys to get a chance to play in front of some friends and some family. But yeah, it's a great opportunity. I'm really glad that we were able to schedule this game, and this is something we want to do in the future, is be able to play different places in the state of Texas, because obviously we have a lot of Texas alums and Texas fans in Houston and in different spots around the state.
Sure. What are you wanting to get out of the half-court sets? I mean, what's been your take for the last few games?
Well, what you want to get is a great shot. I mean, that's what you want to get any time down the floor, whether it's in transition or whether you're in the half court. That's the goal. If you get a great shot, it doesn't guarantee that you'll score, but it gives you the best chance to score. If you turn the ball over, there's no chance you're going to score. And if you get a bad shot, it's a very, very low percentage chance that you'll score. So,
how would you rate the shot selection, I guess, then? Out of the last
sometimes it's been pretty good. There's been stretches where we've gotten a lot of really good shots. Now again, that doesn't guarantee that you're going to score. I think we've had some guys shoot the ball from 3 at a percentage that's lower than their shooting ability I think merits, but it doesn't really work that way. It's about going into the game and being able to make shots. So I think those percentages will go up over the course of time if we can get high quality shots for those guys from outside. But to answer your question, we need to continue. We need to get better at executing and getting the shot we want. We need to increase our number of assists. Now, there's two things that go into that. One of them is making the right pass, and then the other one is making the shot. Because you can make the right pass and not make the shot, you don't get an assist. When we throw the ball inside, we're getting a lot of attention. We're getting doubled. If we don't get doubled, we're getting a lot of attention from the perimeter. So we need to work and find ways to get the ball inside deeper, get the ball inside earlier. It's hard to double in transition. Guys did a nice job in our last game of getting the ball inside. But again, from there, it's about what happens next, whether you see a double or not. So, yeah, to answer your question, we got to get a lot better at it. We've got to get steadier with our ball handlers, getting us into offense and creating offense for their teammates.
Staying with the offense, are you starting to see more depth in terms? It seems like guys are moving away from the ball a little differently, more action when the post guys touch it, cutting and things like that. Some of that simple stuff that wasn't happening earlier this year.
Yeah, we have more carryover on that than we did in New York, so we've made some progress on that, but we still have a ways to go with that. It's something we practice a lot. But it's a matter of, when you go out there on the floor, having a clear mind to go do exactly what you practiced, whether it's when the ball goes inside or when you come off a pick and roll. Sometimes in the game, there's a lot of other stuff going on, so if your mind's not completely clear to carry that over, especially with younger players, sometimes they can struggle with that.
Do you coach to find a guy that demands the ball or you want the ball down the stretch, or do you want to see how it kind of plays out when you have a roster like this where guys are kind of finding their way?
Yeah, you'd like to have one or two guys that are go-to guys, but I think, again, to your point, when you have a younger group, you're still kind of figuring that out. And I would say probably coming into the season, there was quite a few guys that maybe theoretically, wanted to be that person, but it's different in practice than it is in theory when you're out there. A lot of it depends on if it's a late game situation, how the game has gone, how guys have shot the ball, how guys have played. And, to be honest, we're still figuring those sorts of things out. Like I said, I think Tevin obviously has been the most consistent with his, ability to put the ball in the basket. And one thing that's really been impressive about him is he's had some games where he's gotten off to a slow start, and he's stayed in it mentally and been a good teammate, and then been able to get himself going in the second half. So right now, he's the guy that's emerged as probably the most dependable scorers. But I think we have some other guys that certainly we can throw the ball to and they can score.
Is that something where they have to not be afraid to fail, to be that guy? And is it easier to do it in practice than?
Yeah, it's so much different in practice because there's really nothing on the line in terms of anybody watching or the game being on TV or those sorts of things. So it's a great point you make. You want to play with what we call approach goals, which is going after something instead of having an avoidance goal, which is playing to avoid making a mistake. And as a team, we want to have guys out there playing with aggressiveness and trying to go attack. But one of the things that a guy like Isaiah had last year was, in his mind, he had done it before so many times. So, it's nice to have that in your back pocket, to have that experience to draw on. With some of our younger guys, they just don't have that yet. Hopefully as games go, they'll gain more of that. They'll gain more confidence and be able to, not worry about, well, what if it doesn't go my way.
Shaka, last year, your first year, you had that big UNC win that might have been kind of a turning point in the mindset of the team and maybe buying into your process? And this year with such a young team, are you still waiting for a moment like that, a game like that, where everybody kind of starts to click for these young guys?
Well, that was just a huge, huge moment. I mean, it was just, I think they were number 2 or 3 in the country at the time, so it was just, as big a win as really you can have. Sometimes it's a turning point, but a little bit, not as momentous of a turning point. I thought, us coming back and winning that Alabama game was big for our guys, confidence-wise. And we need more games like that, because to your point, a lot of times it's a matter of guys feeling like, hey, we can do it, and we did it, and now we can go do it again. And that's, that was what was really tough, just as soon as the Michigan game ended, that kind of hit me that, man, that would have been a really good one to point back at and say, hey, we finished this one out, and it's a really good team on the road. But, you can learn from it the other way as well. We need more games like you're indicating that we can point to and feel good about.
Do you have an update on Mo?
Not really much of one. I mean, he's running and shooting, but he's not practicing live yet. They haven't really given me a timetable. He should be back. We're hoping maybe later on this month, but it's not going to be like for this game or probably for the next game.
Going back to what Roger was asking about these guys and finding themselves, is Jarrett being as aggressive as he should be? Do you think?
He's learning. He's learning about what goes into being aggressive, and he's really, one thing that he's really doing is he's really putting a lot of extra work in, beyond just practice, and I think that is really over time going to pay off for him. The reality is, I think for any freshman, you kind of get hit after several games with the fact of this is maybe harder than I thought. I mean, it's an adjustment to the college level, and I think his response to that has been really good with the work he's put in, and I just think it's going to be just a matter of time before that carries over. And right now what he's learning is where are different places on the floor where I can get the ball and be effective. And again, right now what other teams are doing is they're giving him a lot of attention when he gets the ball on the block. And he's made some really good passes. I mean, he's done a great job. That's part of why we came back and won the other night is, him passing it out of the post, Shaq passing it out of the post, and people being able to attack from there.
Given the talent in the area of Houston and how often you do recruiting there, how important is it to be part of an event like that?
I think it's really important, from a recruiting standpoint, just to have more visibility there. And then also just the fact that there's so many alums and supporters in the city. Again, it's something that we would love to do moving forward, not just in Houston, but in Dallas, San Antonio, and places around the state where there's a ton of UT people and where there's also, potential kids that we want to take a strong look at our program.
Have you ever coached a team that has this many young guys on it? And if you have, how did you work through that?
Not quite. We talk about that a lot. Not quite this many, and this many that are playing so much and such big roles. But the closest would be my third year at VCU after we went to the Final Four. We lost a lot of guys, and we had a very young team. Early in the year, we really struggled, but the team just got better and better over the course of time and ended up being the best year, in my opinion, that we had. And that team had a little bit more experience at the top. They had a lot of younger guys. This is just a group that everyone literally is in a new role, and I think from a standpoint of coaching these guys, it's as much as anything trying to put confidence in them that, hey, you guys can do it, and we just got to make sure that we're following our plan and our process of what goes into doing it.
Coach, Arkansas's got a lot of wins this season. What have you guys seen out of them?
Coach Anderson does a great job. I've been a big fan of how he does things for a long, long time, going back to when he was at UAB and did an awesome job at Missouri. And now you can see the growth that they've made as a program at Arkansas. I'd say the biggest thing that I think they do really, really well is they play with great aggressiveness and pace. So they're always coming at you on the offensive end and on the defensive end. And that's the way that his teams have always thrived and always played well. They have, they've got really good personnel. They've got some guys that have been around there for a while. They've got a lot of juniors and seniors. And they've got, I think, a good balance of inside and outside, which, as a team, scoring-wise, that makes them dangerous and tough to defend.
I wouldn't expect anyone in that locker room that you got to know who Nolan Richardson is. I mean, do they grasp that this is a program that hates them more than Oklahoma does?
No.
Fan base, I should say.
No, I don't think our guys.
Are we so far beyond that now?
Yeah, I mean it's been. I mean these guys weren't even alive really. Yeah, I don't think that that's really in their minds. But I think the more important thing for us is just having an awareness of the things that Arkansas does well and the way that they're going to try to play, and the aggressiveness with which they'll play, and then us being the best Texas that we can be to counteract that, and then just being excited about the opportunity. I mean, this is a great opportunity for our guys. It will have been a week since we played, so as a player, you want to be itching to get out there on the floor and ready for the challenge.
Piggybacking on that, are you personally aware of just the hate and vitriol in this UT-Arkansas rivalry, even though it hasn't been around for a little while?
I've had some people tell me all about it, and it's something that I have a lot of respect for. Just looking back at past teams and looking back at the old conference. I'm a big fan of Nolan Richardson and what he did there. I think a ton of people were and are. I mean, he's really a guy that when I was at VCU, I really looked up to him, just the way that he did things from a full court pressure standpoint, and we tried to emulate some of that. They really played with as much aggressiveness as probably any team ever, and they had a swagger and a confidence and almost an arrogance about him in a good way. And, personally, he's just someone that I respect because of, the way that he really stood up for his guys and was a good mentor.
On Eric, have you seen, after his game on Saturday, have you seen that improvement keep happening in practice this week?
I think that was a step in the right direction. I think he's understanding more and more what he has to do. But, now it's just a matter of putting good games on top of good games. And, he had a very good game for us the other night. It was nice to see a couple of his threes go down because, we all know he's a really good shooter. But he didn't look like he was shooting with confidence before. And, I think that, when a couple of those shots that he took went in the other night, it was a real sigh of relief for him. He wants to do the right thing. He wants to be a good player. He wants to help the team. And I think he was putting a lot of pressure on himself. And so we just got to help him understand, just do what you can do in terms of the things you can control. You don't always control whether the ball is going to go in, but you can control your shot readiness, your shot discipline. You can control how hard you run the floor. You can control the stance you play in on defense. And so that's really been our message to him, and then trying to get him to make sure he's always aggressive.